Hey, thank you for joining the San Antonio Realty Pros podcast. My name is David Karras.
And I'm Steven Randolph.
And together we are the Karras Randolph Signature Property Group, part of Jstone Real Estate here in the San Antonio area market. So, Steven, one thing we wanted to talk about today was for sale by owners, also known as FSBOs for short. So, for sale by owners. So, there's a couple of different reasons why people may want to go and sell their house by owner. One of them is money.
Well,
Right?
You mean we can make more money if we sell it on our own?
Well, maybe, but statistically, would have to go with no.
Okay.
But we'll get into that. So a lot of reasons why people want to sell their house on their own is because they don't want to pay a realtor a commission. Right?
Yeah, because we don't do anything for the seller, right? We don't provide any value or anything like that. Is that the general consensus?
There's a couple of different reasons, right? One is, hey, there's technologies all around, so they can market it themselves. Two, they might have been burned. Not all the realtors are created equal. There's some bad ones out there, and there's good ones too. And if you don't do your research, how do you know, right? And usually, if you get burnt, it's because you didn't do that research, and you just selling a house is very stressful because you can sell it for a myriad amount of different reasons. So you got the price, right? Two, they might not have enough funds to be able to cover closing costs, including realtor commissions.
So we're talking about being upside down, possibly in the
they
loan.
could potentially, let's say they bought their house, 5 months ago, right? And then they got laid off, and they're having difficulty finding a job, and they don't have funds, and they need to sell the house because it's about to go into foreclosure. They might not have that equity right there to be able to afford to pay a realtor, whether they wanted to use one or not. So there's just all kinds of different reasons that someone may try to change or to sell their house for sale by owner. But this podcast isn't to try and convince you to use us to sell your house. It's not to convince you to use any realtor to sell your house. What this podcast is about informing you on how to sell your house for sale by owner and some of the pitfalls that you can kind of find, right? And, after you talk and you think about this, it may open up your eyes to say, hey, you know what, maybe I don't want to handle this. Or, if you're going to for sale by owner it anyway, we're not going to be part of the transaction. So why not be good stewards of the community and try and help a fellow neighbor out?
Yeah, definitely get some tips and tricks from us.
Yeah, so I know you and I are in real estate for totally different reasons than a lot of people, right? We're in real estate to build relationships and to take care of people and provide them with exceptional customer service. There's some people out there that I call them triple Ps. They put a sign in the yard, they put it in the MLS, and they pray it sells, right? And then
that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, and then I have what's called close it and quit it. Right, and those are the realtors that as soon as it's closed, you never hear from them again. Right, I've bought and sold I don't know how many houses throughout my military career, and I've only been in contact with one of the other realtors that sold my house. Right, and she's phenomenal. She stayed in contact with us the whole entire time, even after the transactions. And I've actually sold a house, bought a house, and had her managing one of my properties because she stayed in touch with me. Because for her, it was about building relationships and providing exceptional customer service. But let's get off of that train right now because we're here to talk about selling houses for sale by owner. Now, if you go to realtor.com and you just type in for sale by owner, you're going to find some information, right? It's going to talk about, some different pitfalls, things like that most for sale by owners come across. And it's good information, right? They kind of cover some of the big fails on why, how for sale by owners fail. I've seen some that have been successful and I've seen some that have failed. But the main thing that causes them to fail is their marketing, right? So the person selling the house, they may be in, banking. They could be a lawyer. They could be a chef. They could be a manager. It doesn't matter. They could be experts in their field, but not know how to market.
Right? Yeah.
You
put it on phone pictures.
Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started on cell phone photos. I love those. But they don't know how to market the house. They put it. They pay money for an app or for a website that they can upload a few pictures. They upload some words about their house. Hey, I've got a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. It's for sale for $190,000. Okay.
Period.
Yeah, right. So, and then they got like 5 photos, and they're like half cut off. There's a thumb in them. They're using their cell phone. It's got reflects. They take it in front of the mirror in the bathroom, so you can see them coming back with a bright flash.
That's classic.
And this isn't just FSBO photos. These are photos I've actually seen on the MLS.
I was going to say, I've seen real estate professionals do the same exact
Well, I don't want to call them professionals. I call them like real estate agents.
Yeah.
But, I go and I'll see these photos in the MLS or, for sale by owner.com and whatnot. And there'll be like people like in a car in the driveway and, they're dark and people wonder why their house is never selling. It's because it's not attractive to people to want to go see. People, I want to say it was like within 5 seconds know if they want to go and see a house or not. Right? So if the first like 3 or 4 photos are dark, they're gloomy, they're blurry, they're like got a bright shiny light coming back at you in a mirror, they're not going to want to see that, right? And that all goes into marketing, right? It doesn't matter. You could put it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, for sale by owner.com, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, all these old for sale boards. You can do everything to market it, but if your photos are garbage, you're not going to get anybody coming, right? And if you don't declutter your house, you don't stage it, right? If it looks small, people aren't going to come and look at it.
What could we call that? Could we call that like so when you drive by a house and you see a house with a sign in the front yard, you get that instant curb appeal. What could we call it with the internet, right? So when you're marketing a piece of property on the internet or a home on the internet, could we call it internet curb appeal? Browser
it's all about visual appealing.
100% of it's visual,
right?
How do you emotionally feel about it the instant you see it?
Right. It like instantaneously. It's like I can go through photos all day and be like, nice house, garbage, nice house, garbage, nice garbage, whatever. Right. Somewhat in the middle.
Ooh.
If I see a house that doesn't, like, I'm like, ooh, I don't like this house. I'm just going to look at. I'm not even going to look at the other pictures.
I just had an amazing idea.
What was your idea?
I think we are to build an app that's kind of like the Tinder of homes.
Houses. There you go,
dude. Left, right, you like it or you don't.
Hey. We're copywriting that, so if we find it on the internet,
holy cow!
Well, thank you for doing all the hard work for us. But so marketing your home isn't as easy as you think, right? So I've taken several classes on how to market a house. I've got a designation on, being a certified home marketing specialist. I know how to come into the houses. I'm not quite stager because I don't carry a truck with furniture, but I can come through your houses and be like, all right, look, this is visually impacting right here. You need to move this because it stops your flow of vision, right? This color does not work well with that. Hey, if we change this up this way, it's going to make your house look bigger. If we get rid of that, just throw it in the garage because nobody really cares. They open up the door like, hey, look, there's a garage, and they close the door.
And it's full of stuff.
Yeah, so you can just put some stuff out in the garage so you don't have to pay for self-storage. There's all kinds of different things that you can do. But you want to make sure that you're marketing your property appropriately because if you're not marketing it, nobody's going to know about it. Right. That's where when you use a realtor, everybody's going to know about it, right? Because it's going to be in the MLS and it's going to be on the thousands of websites around the country that pull from that IDX feed from the MLS. So if you're at, Bangor, Maine, you can see a house for sale in Marion, Texas, right? Or if you're in Des Moines, Iowa, you can see houses that are for sale in Seattle. It works big city, small city. It doesn't matter where you're at. So you get on thousands of sites. If you're doing for sale by owner, you have to pay for all these different sites. If you put your money into Zillow, it's going to get, people that look at Zillow are going to be able to find it. But, a lot of people are actually turning away from Zillow, Truly, or Redfin and going to Realtor.com because it's less salesy there. And it provides the exact same information, sometimes even better. So the second thing that kind of impacts the for sale by owners is the home for sale by owner could be priced wrong. Now, I totally hate Zillow, and not for and the reason why I hate it is it just kind of makes my job a little bit harder, and the fact that I have to have a realistic discussion with my clients. You know, when Zillow says, "Hey, my house is worth $253,000," and I come in with a market analysis that shows what houses have legitimately sold for in your community, and it comes in at 238, 239, somewhere around there, 240, you're like, "Why? His estimate says it's worth $250,000." Right? So I have to have that conversation about the accuracy or inaccuracy rate of Zillow. So I'm actually on Zillow.com right now. So this isn't like Dave's opinion. This is like,
it's not hearsay.
This is like actually from Zillow. So if you read, and it goes back to being burned by a realtor in the past, if you don't do your research, then you're not sure what you're going to get. So,
and where's this on the site?
I'm on Zillow.com, and then if you go under the Zestimate, there's a little tab that says Zestimate.
It's basically the definition for Zestimate.
Yeah. So, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom, because they don't put this information like right up top. It says, "Hey, Zestimate sucks."
This is the fine print section, right?
Right. So the header says data coverage and Zestimate accuracy. Zillow's accuracy has a median error rate of 4.3%. What does that mean? 4.3%? That doesn't mean nothing, right? Well, let's see. If you sell a $100,000 house, it means it's off $4,300.
Yep.
Right? That's a lot of money. So
What's
if you're a
the median?
$200,000 house, now you're off $8,600. Now you're $12,900 if it's a $300,000 house. So when
that's a commission.
Yeah. So if you go over here and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to sell my house because the Zestimate says it's worth $300,000." Well, the reality is it may only be worth $280,000, $290,000.
But it could be the other direction too, right? It could. Now this is
I've never seen it, but I'm sure there's a unicorn
I'm just
out there
trying
somewhere.
to be the optimistic guy here.
No, your glass is half full,
Yeah.
but the Zestimate's 3/4 wrong.
Yeah.
Right. But I've never seen it overpriced.
Right.
I've never seen that. It's just, and especially here in Texas, because Texas is a non-disclosure state. So the only data that they have is the data from what list price are.
Yeah.
They have the county records. That's kind of what they can get, right? They don't know what the final process is. They don't know that house that was listed for $300,000 really sold for $285,000 with $5,000 for closing costs. So net to seller was $280,000 before any other closing costs.
Yeah.
They don't get that data. They don't capture that.
Right.
So the picture that they're painting is very skewed.
Yeah.
Right. So that's their median error rate, right? So this says estimate values for half of the homes are within 5% of the selling price, and half are off by more than 5%. So half of the houses on Zillow are off by 5%, and half of them are off by more than 5%. So let's go to that $100,000 house. So they're over there saying that $100,000 house could be worth $105,000 when it's really worth $100,000.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's a big problem.
But hey, you know what? Let's go through here, because I love their transparency.
Yeah,
right?
they have data
I love
everywhere.
it.
You just have to look for it.
Yeah. So it says top metro areas, states and counties, and national, right? So median error rate for Atlanta, Georgia, 4.1%. Boston, Massachusetts, 4.3%. Dallas, Fort Worth area, 8.6%.
That's a big gap to fill.
Yeah. San Francisco, 5.7%. And with the house prices in San Francisco, that's like tens of thousands of dollars right there. It's the same for New York. New York. So New York City, 4.9% off. Hey, Washington, D.C., here's a good one. It's only 2.8% off. But if you go and you look at St. Louis, Missouri, there's dashes there. If you look at San Antonio, there's dashes there. Same with Kansas City and Houston. So basically their error rate is so bad. They're like just putting some dashes in there. But hey, we're not done yet, right? Keep cooking down. And you go down a little bit more, and then, within 10% of sales price. This is the percentage of transactions and locations for which the estimate was within 10% of the transaction price. In the U.S. as a whole, estimates are currently within 10% of the final sales price 75.7% of the time.
So
they're within 10% error rate 75% of the time.
That's
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's a terrible rating.
I would hate to have a customer satisfaction rate like that.
Yeah.
Hey, 10% of my customers are happy with me 75% of the time.
Yeah,
Right?
and
it's
that
just
would
crazy.
actually get you some really bad reviews. In Realtor.com, like say with your profile right now, your real satisfied profile.
Yeah.
You got a 5-star rating, right, David?
Five star. Every one of my clients I've had has given me a 5-star rating, which is a deep honor. I work very hard to make sure that everybody gets that. I was working with a military client coming in looking for a rental. Rentals, you don't make very much money, but he was coming in from Kuwait, and I'd be up at 2:00 in the morning texting him or whatever, late hours, early mornings, because that's the level of customer service that I provide. That's why I decided to partner with you, because that's the level of service that you provide as well. I try to take everybody that comes to me and treat them how I would want to be treated. It doesn't matter if you're buying $100,000 house, $1 million house. You're going to get the exact same customer service, because I was raised to treat the person in the bathroom handing out the soaps the same as the CEO.
Yep.
Right? Everybody, you treat everybody with respect and dignity. You give them that respect, and then in return they give it to you. And I work hard. I took a cruise this past week. Right? I planned on unplugging the whole time.
Didn't do it.
But I didn't do it.
You didn't do it.
Didn't do it.
You and I were working deals back and forth.
I'm sitting in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, and you and I are working together trying to help provide a customer with exceptional experience.
Yep.
But anyway, back to the topic at hand. Sorry, we digress now.
Yep.
So if you scroll down a little bit further, it says within 20% of the sales price. This is the percentage of transactions in a location for which the Zestimate was within 20% of the transaction price. Nationally, Zestimates are currently within 20% of the final sales price 87.6% of the time. So what this basically means, if you're not a math major, and I'm not proclaiming to be a math major. I know 1 and 1 equal 4, but that's about it. What it's saying is the larger error rate that they have, the more houses that fit into that, right? So that's why that percentage is higher. So they have a bigger error rate, so more houses fit within that error rate.
Yeah.
So basically it's saying like, if you get up a little bit more, right? So at 10%, it went 75. It was at 75%. At 20%, it's 87%. So if they had like a 40% error rate,
it'd probably be 100%.
They'd fit 97% of their houses in there, right?
Probably be 100%.
So
wow, that's easy to get to.
So if you're doing for sale by owner, do not. It's not my recommendation that you base your home value solely on the Zestimate. And I'm not dinging Zestimate, because truly, all those other companies that have their appraised value or their recommended valuations, they're all going to be wrong. So I don't want to just like seem like I'm like dinging Zillow all the time, because I'm not. They have great app. You can look through houses pretty easy and stuff like that. But this is going back to the Zestimate and how I'm glad they put Zestimate instead of Zest priced.
Yeah.
Because that would be zestful.
Yeah. Too much.
Yeah. Too much zest.
Too much.
You never have enough zest.
You can't.
But so when we're going back to pricing, don't look at that. Another place you can find valuations that are inaccurate is your county appraisal district. Hey, the county appraisal districts, they give you an assessed value, and basically the county appraisers and weathermen went to the exact same school.
Yeah,
right?
They're always wrong.
What I mean by that is they're always off, right? Like my cruise, for a week it was saying it was going to rain, so I canceled an outside excursion that was going to, because you don't want to be out in the water on a boat when it's supposed to be thunderstorm, right?
Exactly.
So I canceled it. I get to Cozumel, sunny and 81.
Beautiful.
Right?
Nice.
So then I had to go and come up with different plans. It's the same thing with the appraisers, right? Now this one, unlike the Zestimate, I've seen them overvaluated and I've seen them undervaluated. Yeah. Usually they're undervalued by about 1% or 2%.
Yeah.
From what your market value is, right? At least here in Texas,
right?
In the San Antonio area. Now, I was actually running some comps for a client of mine that we're going to be putting an offer in, and I looked at, because that's another thing I use all these little tools to come up with a bracketing system for appropriately pricing properties. And that house, it was assessed by the county by about $12,000 more than what the actual value was on it. And
this is where it can cost the homeowner an exorbitant amount of money directly out of their pocket. Now, we're not talking about getting into the sale of the property and unappropriately pricing the home for sale and going through with the transaction. We're talking about year over year, your appraised tax value on your home. You're coming out of pocket every year for those costs. If the tax assessor inaccurately has your home valued, it's going to affect you directly each and every year. And this is something that if you don't catch it ahead of time, like I just had a client of mine right down the street in my same neighborhood, where the county had assessed her house about $50,000 more than what that I had come up with my own analysis. And she actually went to the county assessor, had a what do you call those things where they go in and contest it?
Appeal.
That she went to an appeal. They let her in there and let her talk. She took my records, all of my findings, my report that I printed out for her. And my report came in, and I think hers was the county was assessing her property at like $360,000 in that range. My appraisal came in around $320,000. Well, she went in. She was able to get the deal done. They met her halfway, and so she saved basically over $1,700 in tax that she's not going to have to pay this year, in this next year, because we took some actual information of market data. The appraiser is going to do a specific job. He's going to appraise the structure, the improvements on the property, and the property value itself. That number comes in at X. Well, you're going to pay tax on that amount. So if it's not done correctly, and it's not even taken into account for the market value. So when we appraise a property, when we do a CMA, when Dave and I do ours, we take multiple different situations in and combine it all into one number so that we can get an accurate market value. So, these three things: the Zestimate, the tax value on the property, and then the CMA, all kind of work together. And it's very important, if you're selling your home by yourself, to let us come in, or let a realtor that come in and do these things for you so that you can get the right amount for your house, number one. And heck, you might not even know you're overpaying for your taxes, right?
Yeah. No, and so think of it like this, right? You don't want to go and use an online estimate tool like what we've been talking about, because that's kind of like going to your doctor with a printout from WebMD and like self-diagnosing yourself, right? So
I got back pain.
There's just certain things you just don't do, right? Why are you gonna so but that's another reason, right? So let's talk about the third reason. You can underestimate or overestimate how much money you need to spend on curb appeal. If you haven't already listened to our podcast, we did a podcast the other day, and it was basically talking about the cost versus value for remodeling, updating your house, right? And we talked about the specific percentages, the national average, right? So we went national average versus San Antonio average because, we've got listeners that are all over the country. So we went with the national average. And there's tens of thousands of dollars left on that table at the end of the day, right? So you don't want to, if you only have a limited budget, let's say you have $10,000 to update your house. Well, you're not going to do a kitchen remodel. You're not going to do a bathroom remodel. You may be able to replace some carpets, but you're not going to be able to do windows. So where do you put that money at?
Paint. $10,000.
Yeah. So if you have a professional come in, it could cost you $10,000 to have the interior painted, right? So you got to think about it, where you're going to put that money at. So another reason that some for sale by owners fail is because they put that money in the wrong areas, right? So now you're overpriced. You put too much money into fixing up the house for some curb appeal, right? All because you wanted to save a percentage on a realtor commission. So when you overprice your house, right? And I think we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But when you overprice your home, it's going to sit on the market longer. It's going to become stigmatized. But showings, right? When you do a for sale by owner, you're there for all the showings, right? You have to work your schedule around other people's schedule. 1, 2, you're letting perfect strangers that have not been vetted by anybody into your house. right? We're right now we're just past Thanksgiving, so we're coming up with Christmas, right? Who's to say that the people coming in for looking at for sale by owners aren't casing your joint to see what you got underneath the Christmas tree, right? Oh, the Johnsons, they got a lot of presents underneath their tree.
Yep.
Then we go and just strike up a conversation. Well, when's the best time to work for you? Oh, well, I'm at work from 8 to 5. Okay, so cool. I can come in between 9 and 4 and rip you off, right?
Yeah.
Do they come in and do they separate? Does one go to a different area and one go to another area and you're by yourself, right? Well, when you're with the one person, the other person's by themselves, what's to say that they aren't unlocking windows to come back later and take all your Christmas gifts, your stereo, your heirlooms, whatever it is, right? So that's another issue that you're having. So not only are you having to alter your schedule for these showings, when a realtor can put a lockbox out there that's, at least here in San Antonio, our lockboxes, you have to use an app to get into them, and they're embedded with data, so you can see what realtor opened up the lockbox at what time, etc. So there's some safety issues that can cause the house to fail being a for sale by owner.
For sure, and it's one of those things too. And we're not trying to say that, hey, everybody that comes in your house when you're doing a for sale by owner is going to come in and try to steal something.
Oh no, by all means no.
But the biggest thing is this is some of the stuff that a lot of people don't think about. And if you do think about it, it becomes a problem for you, because now you've created this narrative inside your mind that everybody that comes in, number one, you don't even know if they're qualified to buy, because you're not a lender.
Excellent point.
And you don't know if they even have jobs. A lot of this stuff is done, the vetting process, and we don't discriminate, or we don't, search out people and say whether they are or not qualified to buy a home. But there's certain stipulations that we put in our listings that say, if this house is going to be have an offer made on it, it needs to go to my email address with the lender approved letter. We can set all these things up so that gives you peace of mind, but you don't have that ability. For the most part, I don't think you do. I mean, most people don't even think about that type of thing, right?
No,
I mean, if you're
not until it's too late.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, I got burnt doing this at Cibolo too.
Yeah, and so it's just kind of crazy. We're not saying that these need to be, but these are important topics that you need to think about when you're listing the house.
Yeah, and like the last main point that I want to talk about, and then we'll kind of go back about like days on market, stigmatization, and such. Paperwork.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody totally loves paperwork. Like I get up in the morning, I'm like, man, can I make some paperwork? No. Nobody does that, right? Nobody. I don't care who you are and what line of business you are. Nobody wakes up and says, oh, I can't wait to have a fat stack of paperwork on my desk. Right? But there's a lot of paperwork that goes with selling your house, right? Some states, they don't even have title companies. Here in Texas, we have title companies that will help through the process. But, how do you drop an offer? Right? In Texas, you could write up an offer on a napkin and it could be valid, right? As long as it has name, date, the address, an agreed upon terms, and a signature.
Yep.
Right? You can put down on a napkin and buy a house. But is that the best? Right? So when you do for sale by owner, you're kind of, you can go and find these little, house sales contracts online, right? And take them, but have they been vetted by attorneys, or is that somebody that's at home just like, ooh, you know what, this sounds like it's a good idea, I can make me some money, and because people don't know any different. So then there's disclosures, right? Yeah. When I was getting my real estate license, they're always harping into you, disclose, right? Because if you don't disclose and they end up finding it, then that's when you get sued.
Yep.
So I met with a person. I was doing an open house, great family, and they wanted to list their house and have a house built. And when I met them at their house to talk about, I did the market analysis, talking about, their community, how long the houses stay on the market, what I think we could get for the house, etc. They kept asking me all these questions that made me think that they were going to do it for sale by owner, and they just wanted me to come in and give them all the data so that they could be successful. Which, hey, you know what? If that's what you do, then that's what you do. I don't care. I like meeting people. I like building relationships, and if I help somebody out, I help somebody out. It's a win, right? So when I left, I gave them because I was like 99% sure that they were going to go for sale by owner. And I could have just like left angrily and walked away, right? But I remained professional because to me, real estate is about providing exceptional customer service. And I had completed a seller's disclosure form ahead of time just in case we were going to sign a contract. And this form here in Texas, at least, it has all this different information on there where you can talk about what the house has, what it doesn't have, any kind of issues you've had with the house, has it been repaired, etc. And I gave it to him. And I'm like, hey, look, if you decide to go for sale by owner, you need to have this form, right? This is one of the many forms you're going to need that covers you, right? And she's like, what is it? And I'm like, this is called a seller's disclosure form. And I explained kind of what I just did about it to her. And I was like, you need to fill this out. And anybody that puts an offer on your house, you need to give this to them and have them initial and sign it. Mm-hmm. And she's like, why? I'm like, because this is your get out of jail free card.
Yeah, this is how you don't get sued.
Yes. So this little form right here, it's 5 pages in Texas. And this is hypothetically say, right, that there was a roof damage. Mm-hmm. And the seller knew about it. Got an insurance claim, cashed the check, mm-hmm. didn't have the roof repair done, right?
Right.
They sell the house, new buyer comes in. Get hailstorm, roof is thrashed. Insurance company comes in, they pull up a clue report, right? So basically what a clue report is it's a nationwide industry database that can tell you if there's ever been a claim filed against anything. So they type in that address. Hey, you know what? 2 years ago, there was a hail damage done. Their claim was paid on here. This roof isn't new, so we're not going to cover this claim. Mm-hmm. Well, what happens now? Buyer now goes and sues seller for a new roof. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's just an example. But you need to disclose, because if you don't, then you're going to get sued, and that money that you were trying to save is now going to be gone, because at least in Texas, you can sue for treble damages, which means triple damages, right? So if that roof was $10,000, they can sue you for $30,000, all because you wanted to save some money on a commission, right? So it's things like that. So, when you work with a realtor, you can have there's all kinds of different things, right? You have a third party financing addendum that protects you and the buyer. You have a homeowners association addendum which protects, helps you navigate everything, the obligations for transferring every ownership with the HOA. It's just there's non-realty item addendums. There's just like all kinds of forms out there that you don't have access to if you don't use a realtor, right? And again, every state's different. I don't know if North Dakota uses a non-realty item addendum. What a non-realty item addendum is in Texas is that refrigerator that's in the house. If the buyer wants it, they need to fill out that non-realty item addendum, because a refrigerator in Texas is considered personal property, not part of the house. Whereas the stove, if the microwave is built in, and a dishwasher, those are considered real property and stay with the house. So there's all kinds of different things that if you're not in the real estate business, you're not going to know about. So you might not get the right paperwork done. You may not get you may do something that could potentially get you sued, even if you did not mean it. Even if you forgot, like 5 years ago, you had this water leak or something, right? Like you legitimately forgot about it. You didn't think that was an issue, but then something comes up and then they find out that there was an issue. You can get sued for it depending on what the scenario is. So those are kind of like the 5 key things that cause for sale by owners to fail. And to just kind of recap, 1 is marketing your home. It's not as easy as you think, right? Number 2, homes for sale by owner could be priced wrong. 3, you could underestimate or overestimate how much you need to spend for curb appeal. Showings kill your time. And then preparing your own paperwork can be a hassle. Now, real quickly, I want to talk about the overpricing of your home, right? So whether you use a realtor or not, if you overprice your house, it's not going to sell, right? So if a house is not showing, it's 2 things, price or condition. And the longer you have your house on the market, statistically, there's going to be a decrease in price, because it's going to become stigmatized, right? Because you want to try and make the most amount of money for your house. Like you got a $300,000 house, but you think you can squeeze $350,000 out of it, right? So you list it at $350,000. Nobody even comes checks it out, or maybe a person comes and checks it out, but you get no offers, right? A month goes down, you drop it 10 grand. Another month goes down, you drop it another 10 grand. Another month goes down, you drop it another 10 grand. Or so I've seen sometimes people drop it weekly, right? So, eventually you drop it down to the price where it should have been appropriately priced anyway, and then you get an offer. Or because it's taken so long to get down to that point, you get a low offer because it becomes stigmatized.
Yeah, they're like, what's wrong with this property? It's been sitting on the market for
in San
a
Antonio,
year.
the housing market here is so fast, up until recently, that if a house was on the market for more than like a month, you're like, what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Right? So every market's a little bit different. You could be in a seller's market. You could be in a buyer's market. You could be in a flat market. Seller's market means that there is more buyers than sellers. A buyer's market means that there are more more sellers than buyers, and then a flat market is pretty much even.
We're pretty flat right now, right?
We're actually, I don't know if it's because of the holidays or if it's the interest rates, because we had a lot of rain too and bad weather, and nobody likes to go see houses in bad weather. But I think we're flattening it out some.
Yeah.
The houses are, it's not just me. I've talked to several other realtors, and they're having the same issues. Their houses aren't getting the showings that they used to. They're staying on the market longer.
Yep.
So I think that, as the interest rates are going up, it's shrinking buyers' buying power.
Yeah.
And the person that could afford a $300,000 house now can afford a $275,000. And then you still have to keep those debt to income ratios. Like, it's a whole crazy. That's like a whole nother podcast with a mortgage lender in itself. But in the San Antonio area, I think we are starting to flatten out a little bit. I still think it's a buyer's or a seller's market, but it's more
leaning towards flat.
Yeah. It's just, if you don't price it right, it's not going to sell. And then people are going to be like, why has this house been on the market for like 6 months? What's wrong with it? And then they're going to go through and get an inspection. And they're going to be like, man, there's like the whole house is falling apart. I'm going to offer you $225,000, right? And because you're so frustrated with trying to sell your house for 6-7 months, you're just going to take it, all right? When if you just appropriately priced it, you could have had it sold in a few weeks. So, that's just kind of like the key thing I wanted to focus on, because I know the majority of the time people that are doing it for sell by owners, it's that dollar amount that is driving them to it, right? But Steven and I, we do a free service that we'll come out and we'll visit you. We'll do like a whole like FSBO analysis. We'll come in like the FBI and just like, hey, here's where your marketing stinks, or hey, your marketing is excellent. Hey, I think your house is priced too high. Hey, you're actually priced too low. You could probably try and do this, right? So, but if you're not our client, we can't provide you with, and if you use a realtor, right, you get negotiation skills, you get expertise, you get market knowledge, you get all this other stuff, right? Like, how do you know that an offer that you're getting is good, right? Hey, I'm offering you full price, but I want $12,000 for closing costs. Well,
exactly. It's like, whoa.
I'll be like, wait a minute, what? Oh, I'm getting full price. Awesome. I got a full price offer. I only had to pay $12,000 in closing costs. Yeah. Well, congratulations. You
just paid somebody's commission.
Yeah. You done. Yeah. Well, not only that, but the full price offer is great. But
that's another great question.
Now you're $12,000 off at full price. So did you really get a full price offer? No.
Exactly.
You got a full price offer minus $12,000.
That's another great question. So answer this one. What are you willing to pay an agent that's going to bring you a buyer? If you're a for sale by owner.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you
for sale by owner, and will you work with a buyer's agent?
Yeah, right? Because here's the deal. And this is really terrible to say, and I would not operate like this. If I've got a client that wants to buy your house and you're for sale by owner, I'm going to bring the client whether you're giving me a commission of or not. It's just not something that I'm willing to let my client miss out on a great opportunity if your home is priced right in the first place. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you've got your house overpriced and it's a FSBO, I'm not going to beat around the bush with it. I'm going to bring you so much ammo that you're going to know exactly what your house is worth, whether you think it's that way or not. And then when I present the offer, if you're willing to take an offer, it's going to be the number, the right number. And most of the time, agents that I've seen, and you hear it kind of in the atmosphere, back and forth, is, well, if they're not offering a buyer's commission, I'm not even going to show that property. So something that you got to think about as a FSBO, seller is are you willing to work with another agent that's going to bring you a buyer? Because if you're not, then you might have a little bit of soul searching to do, because that's kind of not a smart move.
Yeah, it's going to shrink your buyer pool, right? It's sad to say, but in the MLS, right? If there's a house that has a 2.5% or a 2% commission versus a 3%, and I'm just using out general numbers, right? I'm not going to, because I don't want to violate any kind of RESPA laws or anything like that. But if there's a different commission price in there versus what a traditional price is, I've known realtors that won't.
Yeah, they won't show it.
They won't show that house.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right over it.
But so again, they're the ones, the few, right? They're not. That's not the majority. There's the few, right? They're the few that give the majority the bad names. But you got to think about that, right? Maybe you can't afford a specific commission, right? But you can afford one for a buyer's agent, right? That might be, and then usually, the buyer's agent end up with making sure you get all the forms and everything done right anyway. So they end up kind of doing both for one. But, if you're going to do it for sell by owner, more power to you. I'll tell you right now, I don't ever want to do it for sell by owner. When I sold my rental property, I put in the MLS and treated it just like a regular transaction. Be like, Dave, why did you do that? You're a realtor. Oh, that's right. I am a realtor, and my average days on market are 3.5 right now. And I put this rental property on the market, and in 2 days had it full price offer gone. But if I did it for sell by owner, I would not have found the buyer that bought my house. Mm-hmm. The buyer that bought my house came from a realtor that found it in the MLS. And that is why I did not do it for sale by owner. To me, and I had some equity in the house to play with, but to me, I'd rather have the house sold faster and, not have to deal with helping the buyer throughout the process and trying to sell it and still work with all my clients and stuff like that. So to me, I will never do it for sale by owner because it takes the same amount of work on my end as a realtor. And I do this every day, day in and day out. If you're never sold a house before in your life, you're not going to know what you don't know, right? And that's why you hire a professional. But, commissions are negotiable, right? If somebody's not willing to negotiate their commission, then that's their personal decision. And just like if you're not willing to pay a full commission, that's your personal decision. But, just talk to somebody and see if they're willing to work with you. Explain the situation. Like if you came to me and were like, Dave, I don't have that much equity to afford to give you a full commission. Well, guess what? Dave doesn't do real estate to make millions of dollars. That's right. Dave does real estate to take care of people, build relationships, and provide exceptional customer service. We'll have a discussion, right? Everything's negotiable. I'll go back to my broker, and if it makes sense, then we'll make it work. But there's, I'm not the only one out there that does that, right? There's tens of thousands of realtors out there in America. 99% of them do it right day in and day out. Don't let the reputations of the bad ones speak for everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. But if you have any questions about doing for sale by owner, if you want us to kind of review what you got going on, let us know. We have access to all kinds of trades that we build relationships with, because again, it's about building relationships. That if you're in the San Antonio area and you need something, reach out to us. We've got plumber, roofer, carpenter, whatever you need, we've got it taken care of. Steve, why don't you tell them how they can reach out to us?
So the best way, guys, you can reach out to us is, you can go to our website. Our website is www.sanantoniorealtypros.com. You can go on there and hit the Contact Us tab. While you're in the website there, you can search around and see some of the cool things that we have going on. We've got articles that we always post on our blog. One of which I wanted to turn your attention to. If you want our guide, the ultimate guide to selling your home on your own, we will provide that guide to you at no charge. All you got to do is go to the website. Again, the address is www.sanantoniorealtypros.com. Go to the Contact Us page, put in your information, and just request in the subject line for sell by owner guide. We'll email that over to you. It's a huge article. It's going to be a bunch of bunch of tips and tricks on how to do it. If you have any questions, you can obviously, reach out to us there as well and just ask us any questions. We love to talk to you. But having said that, if there's anything that you guys ever need, let us know. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in.